Alright, so this is going to be a video showing you how to insert your username or your station name inside of your header bar for a FactoryTalk Site Edition application. Now, this is going to be using VBA code, and it's going to show you how, the implementation behind why we would do this is basically if you have multiple stations, you don't just have one station, you want to know what computer is hosting that, right? What computer or this instance is hosting that actual application. Now let me show you this as well. So in this instance, what we have is my current HMI system, which is my client here, is not actually showing my computer name up here up top. So let's actually close that out, and we're going to close the system out. We're going to open up our header bar, and I'm going to keep this real simple. I already have a font that I like, right? So I already kind of have a font that I don't have to do this. But what I'm going to do is I can come over here and just do a text and get a text right here and format the text. That's all I'm going to do with it, with copy and paste. So I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to change the name right here. Okay, I'm going to change the name to let's just call this computer name. I'm going to change the font size just because I want to keep the font where I can see it. So now this is the exact same thing, except this is font size. There's a key indicator in here. Now I'm going to change the name of this instance to something I can see inside of VBA code. Now the name right here corresponds with something you can easily find. What do I mean by that? Is right here, if I say this is text 4 and I were to open up VBA code, you would see that this is going to say text 4 right here. So unless you know that it's text 4 and you know what to look for, then that's great. But the person behind you easily needs to know how to find it as well. So instead of opening up that and having it say text 4, what we're going to do is we're going to come in and change this name, and to common, we're going to change this to station name. Alright, and we're going to keep it visible. Alright, so now it's going to say station name. We're going to hit apply. Now we're also going to come in here and make sure that this is going to say VBA Control right here. Normally it comes into not exposed right here. Comes into not exposed. We're going to change this and make sure this says VBA Control. So that's a very important task right here. Okay, make sure that says VBA Control. Alright, so we'll save this real quick. Now let's actually go into our VBA code and let's add the code to this. Now I'm going to actually put this in. Now the computer name on my instance is going to be named Shane, so it's going to say Shane up here instead of what it shows. I'll actually show you this right now, what it shows. It's just going to show computer name. But let's add the VBA code now. So let's go open up VBA code. Let's come in here. Now what we want is, instead of the station name having the code underneath the station name, it's very important that you see where to put the information. And what we're doing is we're going to come into general, right? So we're going to change our bar to general, and in general what you want to find is you want to find this display animation tab. On every single application you will see this display animation. You simply want to add the text, right? And I'll show you this. Is you're going to get the name right here. So get the name. We call this station name. So we're going to open up our VBA code. We're going to paste station name, and then we're going to hit dot, and then we're going to come in and get caption, and we're going to say equals, and then Environ. Type the word Environ, right? And then put your quote here, and then come in and say computer name. Okay, and that's as simple as you have to do that statement. Okay, is you're basically wanting to find out what your text is, what name is your text. I could have kept it at text 4. Instead I named it something I could easily find. And then I will say this, if you come in here and you start typing in station name, or let's just say station, and it's not being used in your screen, and you hit dot, it's not going to have a drop down. In this instance, again, I show you if you have a drop down, you can use whatever you want to. You can change the color of it if you want to. You can do multiple things with that control. Now I'm gonna delete this because we have our code in here. Alright, so it's just that simple to add the station name in there. We're gonna save this. We're gonna close this out now, and let me reduce that back down. Now if I go to test it, it's gonna, well, I had a compile error. Oh, let me back this up. And that was my fault because I spelled Environ wrong. So make sure you spell this correctly, right? Let's put that correct. Alright, so make sure you spell that correctly. Environ. Alright. Alright. So now that we've known that we need to spell stuff correctly, which is perfectly fine. And just so you know, let's put this in like a text form right quick. Let's put that in a notepad real quick so you can see it. And that should help you see the so I'm basically calling the caption of the text that I'm currently using, and I'm making it equal to Environ, and then basically saying, okay, I want it equal to my computer name. That simple. Alright, so let's close this out. Let's give it a little test. And now it changes to Shane. Now that's because my computer name is Shane. In your instance, your computer name will be whatever your computer is, or your station name, whatever. You know, you could have 4, 5, 6 different computers hosting an HMI client, and then that client needs, you can actually have that tie back to it and say, oh, by the way, this computer is attached, or this client is attached to this computer, or this station is attached to this computer. And that's as simple as it is. So now if I crank up a client, I go over here, crank up a client, and I go here, and now it will be inside of my header. As you've seen when we first started, we didn't have it in our header. So now when we crank this up, it will populate inside of our header. Now this is a very cool implementation of how to do this. Now you can change the font size, change, you know, whatever you want to. It's all that's very, very simple. I guess the key takeaways here is have it something named that you can find inside of your VBA code, and make sure your VBA is exposed. Expose to VBA code down here on this bottom properties tab right here. You want to make sure that's exposed to that, so that way you can use your VBA code. Alright, so our client is cranking up, and we will currently see that we do have our station name up here. Well, this, and right here I can easily see that that's clickable. But again, that is VBA driven. So as far as this goes, that is how to do that. And I just wanted to show you how to implement your station name inside of the header bar with very simple VBA code, and how to successfully do that. Make sure you're in the display automation tab right here, display automation, and that's where you want to put this small section of code. Alright, so with all that said, we'll see you guys on the next one.